Okay, so now let's create a hit animation for the bird, or more than a hit animation, I would say a hit effect. If we play the game and we hit the ground or the pipes, nothing really happens, and what we want to do is that we want to create a simple hit effect for the bird, so the user gets an output of the collision of the bird with the pipes or the ground. Alright, so to implement this, we're going to go to the hierarchy. And okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do to our project. Let's go to the sprites folder, and let's look for this white sprite, for this white square. Let's drag it to the hierarchy. Let's name it I'm gonna name it hit effect. And now we have to create an animation for this game object. So go to the animation window, hit create, and go to the assets, animations, new folder, create a new folder, call this folder hit effect, and inside this folder we're gonna create the animation. We're gonna call the animation hit and save it. Now we can actually, okay, so we cannot see the hit effect object, and it's because it's in the wrong layer. So select the hit effect, and here in the sorting layer in inspector, select effects. So now we can see the hit effect. We're going to resize the hit effect so it covers the whole scene like this. Okay, and now what we want to do is that we want to create animation. So click the recording button, select the color, and we're going to start off with transparency set to 0, the alpha set to 0. And then what we want to do is that we want to move the white line to 0.10, and at 0.10 or at 0.5 maybe, and at 0.05 let's make the transparency the alpha 255, and at 0.10 let's make it again transparent. So one thing that we can do is that we can select the first keyframe, hit Ctrl C, and then hit Ctrl V with the white line on the 0.10 or 0.1. Alright, so if we hit play, you can see that there's a hit effect. We actually achieved the hit effect, and we have the animation done, so we can click the recording button again. And now if we go to the animator and we double click the hit effect, we can actually uncheck the loop time because we don't want this animation to be a loop. Alright, so when we start the game, we're gonna automatically activate the hit effect, and we don't want that. What we want to do is that we want to do the same thing as we did before. We want to enter a new state, and that new state is going to be an empty state, so nothing is going to happen. And when we set the trigger, then we want to actually go and play the hit animation. So let's do that. Let's create a state, an empty state. Let's right click on the entry and set state machine default state. Select this and drag it to the new state, and from the new state we'll make a transition to the hit animation. So right click the new state, make transition to the hit animation. Now we will select the transition, and in the transition we're going to create a parameter. So make sure that you're in the parameters tab in here and click the plus button, select trigger, and we can call this hit. And in here in the inspector on the right, go to where it says conditions and click this plus icon, and you will see that the hit trigger has been applied. So when we call this hit trigger from the code, we will go to the hit animation. So now if we hit play, we will see that the game starts like this. Okay, so what we want to do is that we're going to go to the animation, and all right. Okay, so I just was making sure that everything was right. Okay, so we hit play. We will see that okay, so for some reason this is not working. Okay, what we're going to do with the hit effect is that we're going to change the color. So select the hit effect, and let's change the default color to when I say the color, I mean the transparency. Let's set the default transparency to totally transparent. And now if we hit play, we will see that the new state is activated, and if we let me see, if we select the trigger, we will see the hit effect take place. Alright, so let's try that again. Let's play the game, and if we hit the trigger, we can see the we can see the heat effect. Alright, so we have that. So the only thing that we need to do now is to implement the trigger from the code. Okay, so when are we going to implement that? So let's go to the bird script, and we're actually gonna call the heat effect whenever we collide with the pipes or with the ground. So to do this, we're going to create a reference to the heat effect. So public animator heat effect. So we're getting a reference to the animator component of the heat effect object. And what we're going to do now is that we're gonna call the trigger from the place that we want to set the animation. So from here, heat effect dot set trigger hit. So if we hit the pipe, we're going to activate the animation, or if we hit the ground, we're also going to activate the animation. So heat effect dot set trigger hit. And here in the trigger function, in the onTrigger function, we want to make sure that we are only listening to the score or to the collision with the pipes if the game over is equal to false, because if game over is equal to true, we don't want to be listening to this. So to fix this, let's just say if game manager dot game over equals true. Okay, so if game manager, so it's the other way around, if game manager class dot game over equals true, then we're going to listen for collisions. Okay, paste. All right, so we have set everything. So now we can comment out this line of code because we don't need it anymore, and we can save the script, go back to the Unity editor, hit play, and you will see that it won't work, and it's because we haven't set the reference. Here, if you go to the console, you can see the error that we have. It said the variable heat effect bird has not been assigned. So if we go to our bird, we can see that it's waiting for a reference to the heat effect. So drag the heat effect object to the heat effect and we'll get its animator. And now if we hit play, we should actually be able to. Okay, so the reason why it is like this is because in the animation of the heat effect, if we go to the animator window and we select the heat effect, okay, so if we select the transition, we can see that it has an exit time. So uncheck the exit time, uncheck the fixed duration, and set the duration to 0. So now if we hit play, everything should go very quick and fast, right? So now the heat effect responds the way it's supposed to. But whenever it collides with the... Okay, so it's not if it's true. So in here in the C# script of the bird, I said if game manager.gameover equals true. So it's not true, it's false. So if game manager.gameover is equal to false, then we're going to do all of this. So let's go back to the Unity editor and check this out. Okay, so now we die, perfect. So now the hit animation is working fine. Every time we collide, and every time we collide with the pipes, it's working too. All right. So this is gonna be it for this video. I'll see you in the next video.